How did I get here with a brain infection and a heart infection all at the same time within the span of 3 weeks? This starts 17 days ago on September 20th when we had the muscles on the left side of my face raised up to have my eyebrow be lifted and my temporalis muscle be lifted to ease the tension of my ear canal, as well as improve the appearance of my face that was sagging from my recent surgeries. If you're curious about that, I have a full documentary linked in my main of my channel to go check out. But now, more importantly, what's happening now. So let me take you through the timeline of how this played out. This was the morning of September 20th. This was right after the surgery on September 20th. This is the first day of me being home on September 21st. Notice the bruising along my eye. It's totally normal, and yes, it's flipped. This is the mirror image of my camera, so don't be alarmed. This is my left side. This is September 22nd, the second day of me being home. Notice the bruising and the swelling is starting to become more localized and fall down my face a little bit, which is good. That's what we want. Fast forward to September 25th, we have bruising spreading across my face, the yellowing going down my face, which is good. The yellowing means that it's healing. That's really good. There's still the blood blister in my eyes is still there, but it's going down, which is good. However, I still have this drain in. That is separate from this drain that's in my head right now. This is me on September 29th. I was incognito mode. I was still a little bruised, but I had a dressing on underneath this hat because I wanted to go visit Julia at lunchtime. Looking very, very good though, right? This is me on Sunday, October 1st. Swelling is pretty much gone. The only thing left is the blood blister in my eye. Everything else is pretty much gone, except slight swelling on the left side of my face, but I feel good at this point. I don't feel bad. I feel really good. This is on Monday night, Julia's birthday dinner at Outback Steakhouse. We were there for maybe 2 hours, had a great dinner, but I was not feeling good. I was feeling really, really shitty. And you can kind of tell by the look on my face, I'm just not feeling good. Mind you, I thought I was withdrawing from my Vyvanse medication that I haven't taken in over 2 weeks. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So I go home, take some pain medicine, and hopefully just sleep it off. That's where it started to get bad. So at 2:30 on Tuesday morning, I wake up, don't feel so hot. I have to pee, kind of dizzy, whatever. I go pee, come back, try to fall back asleep. Can't fall back asleep. Around 30 minutes go by, and I hear my heartbeat thumping in my head. And getting nauseous and just not feeling good. Very dizzy, not good. Feels like I have a fever. I'm getting really, really hot. Even though the room is like 65 degrees. So I turn over, I wake up Julia, and I said, hey Julia, I think we need to take my temperature. We take my temperature, it's 102.2. 16 days after surgery, that's not good. That's really, really bad. 3 o'clock in the morning, I said, call my mom. We call my mom, she says, go to the ER. You're not okay, this isn't good, go to the ER. We call the fire department, they come pick me up in an ambulance, they bring me to NYU, where my whole team of doctors is waiting for my arrival, expecting something that they don't know what's happening yet. I didn't have any assumptions at this point. I was just hoping that I was going to be okay. But again, this is just scratching the surface. This is where it starts to get really scary. After about a 45-minute ambulance ride, we arrive at NYU. Immediately, they know who I am because my mom called ahead of the time to let them know I was on my way because my neuro team was waiting for me on standby. The time is around 5 o'clock a.m. at this point. But time is moving very quickly. They come to do their initial assessment on me, and then all of a sudden, a flush goes down my whole body. I lose feeling in my right hand, my right foot, my right leg, my right arm, everything. My entire right side goes limp. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke. Involuntary movements. And then they call it a stroke code. That immediately puts me to the top of the list for CT scans and makes sure that I'm the first priority to make sure I'm getting my CT scan to figure out what's going on. My mom's on FaceTime with me the entire time with my girlfriend right next to me. And during that time, as we're waiting for the CT scan to be available, I start having what's called speech aphasia, which means I know what I want to say, but I can't say it. My words are all jumbled. I can't figure out a sentence, put it together. I start talking in almost slow motion, saying I'm having a stroke. Feel like I'm having a stroke. I'm nauseous. I feel bad. I don't feel good. This is scary. But I couldn't form the words. My mom starts freaking out because she's like, okay, this is not okay. This isn't like him. He talks a million miles a minute. Very good with his words. This is very scary. They bring me to the scan. First did it without contrast. Then we did a CT scan with contrast. The CT scan with contrast started to make me nauseous. And I remembered being very scared because I was starting to get really nauseous. And I was like trying to say the words nauseous. I was like, nauseous. They said, just breathe. Everything will be okay. You'll be fine. The findings of the CT scan were not that I had a stroke. They were that I had a mini seizure. All the pressure from my brain had puffed out for about here. All this fluid, Cyrus fluid, whatever it was putting so much pressure on my brain, almost causing a midline shift. After all the tests, the MRIs and everything, it was around 9:45, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's when one of my doctors came over and broke the news to me. saying that they found an infection underneath my implant that was in place from my previous cranioplasty. And that the only way to fix that is to remove that cranioplasty, so remove the piece of my skull and wash out all of that bacteria and get all of that cleaned out. Essentially restarting my recovery from my traumatic brain injury. Going back to not having a skull in my head and doing all those protocols again is just very scary. She gives me a few minutes, but she says we have to move quickly. My mom normally lives in Florida, but she was in Virginia for a work conference. I live in New York, obviously. My mom leaves her event, hops on a plane to come see me and come be with me. The plan was to wait for her until 2 p.m. to do the surgery. However, an operating room opened up and they were able to get me in a lot sooner at 11:45 a.m. So this went from me thinking this is a normal infection, whatever, just gonna get treated with some antibiotics, to, okay, you're having your entire life changed right now. Everything you've overcome, everything you've done right now so far is a moot point. We have to do what we need to do now and remove this skull to save your life, basically. So I spoke to my neurosurgeon, then I spoke to my mom. He spoke to my mom. My mom was okay with him starting the surgery without her there. My best interest. Because time is of the essence at that point. The quicker we can stop this infection from spreading, the quicker we can help my prognosis. So almost at 11:45 on the dot, we get sent back to the operating area. I make that final TikTok, and I upload it, and good to go. In the surgery, they removed the cranioplasty, but they replaced it with a mesh, a titanium mesh, covering the entirety of my exposed skull, or brain, I should say, which will prevent me from needing to wear the TBI helmet, because I hate the TBI helmet. It's so awful. While they were in there, they took some cultures to put for the infectious disease doctors and find out what's going on inside my body. And with that, they found a staph infection that entered my blood in my brain. They also found some bacteria on the ventricles of my heart, which is kind of scary because, my heart's never been involved in this, but all of a sudden it's involved in this because of the thing from the blood. So there's two separate infections going on at the same time, one in my brain, one in my heart, both going tit for tat. Probably you can get onset so fast. So now I'm on some pretty strong antibiotics, 2 versions. I don't know their names, so I'm not going to try to name them, but they're pretty severe. They also removed the subgaleal shunt that was draining cerebral spinal fluid from my skull down to my abdomen, just to remove all foreign bodies from my area. That might need to go back in before I go home, but we'll see how it goes, hopefully not. As of right now, my current prognosis is as follows. When I go home, I'll have 2 PICC lines, which are basically permanent IVs that are going to be in my body for an extended period of time. One with one antibiotic and another one with another antibiotic. Running around the clock, IVs at home all the time. Pumping my body full of these medicines to make sure that this infection doesn't come back. This time with a vengeance. Because the one in my heart is prone to being very resistant to medication, which is scary. A lot of people are asking me how they can help, because this is a very financially trying time, as we all are aware. If you're able to and willing to, I would really appreciate it. My Venmo is Go for Brandon. My Cash App is Go for Brandon 1. I have a GoFundMe set up in case you don't want to do any of those other 2, but GoFundMe charges a lot of fees, so if you want me to get the majority of what you're sending me, then go through those other 2 platforms. Also, just rewatch this video a bunch of times. That also helps me out a bunch. But this is a very financially trying time, and if we can kind of band together and help me out here, that'd be amazing. Because there's a lot of you, and there's not a lot of me. I'm working on trying to accept help more in my life. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the future updates.